But every coin out there has its reverse. And for every foreign ally who steps up side by side with us and helps form the wall opposing actual evil, there are also out-and-out traitors in our own midst who hate this country and its people so much that they will go way out of their way to try to harm them. To provide one such example, a public school teacher in California was warned by U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services this week that she should very much expect to be prosecuted after publicly bragging that she had fraudulently married a man who lives in Gaza in order to help him illegitimately obtain U.S. citizenship. This woman, who is hopefully about to land behind bars for believing that she is the only person who counts in this country, and believing that that gives her the right, not only to her political beliefs, which of course she does have a right to, but she also believes that she has a right to sabotage her neighbors and ruin their country in an act of pure maliciousness. Her name is Laura Pinho. It will not surprise you to learn that she is a CODEPINK activist who masquerades as a dance teacher in a California school. Lacking any form of self-control, which is typical for that organization, she was entirely unable to refrain from bragging about what she did during a CODEPINK webinar in June that was called Challenging Zionism in Our Schools, where she apparently admitted that her marriage was motivated by a political desire to use her American citizenship to benefit a Palestinian man through a fraudulent green card marriage, claiming that using marriage as a political weapon was a way to, quote, equalize the playing field. When in actual fact, just for the record, in case anyone's confused about it, it is a serious crime that is entirely illegal. Her exact words were, "I have power as an American citizen. I have a passport that I was just born with. And how can I live in this world if I don't make every effort to equalize the playing field in whatever way that I can?" Utah's marriage records show that she married Salem S.E. Abu Amrah on April 5th, only a matter of weeks after she organized a GoFundMe page for him in which she portrayed him as being the primary provider for his family in Gaza, and urged her gullible supporters online to help him survive the war. The truth is that Abu Amrah is a fully indoctrinated extremist who has posted material on social media praising and glorifying Palestinian terrorists for their most brutal and extreme violence, including posting a tribute in 2019 to the Palestinian Islamic Jihad commander Baha Abu al-Attah after that terrorist was thankfully killed in an Israeli airstrike. Pinho didn't mention any of that to the people that she was conning money out of online, and she even openly denied that Abu Amrah has any connection to Hamas. But of course, she took things much further than just spinning false narratives and raising money for him, thanks to Utah being one of only a handful of states out there that actually allows people to have legal wedding ceremonies to someone on the other side of the world remotely. After finding out about this, Zach Collar, a spokesman for the USCIS, told the New York Post that these individuals should expect to be discovered and prosecuted for this illegal activity. USCIS is constantly enhancing its investigative capabilities and will aggressively pursue individuals who engage in marriage fraud in an effort to obtain immigration benefits. By the standards of our current federal laws, which apply everywhere in the United States, this kind of marriage fraud is punishable by up to 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine on top of that. Consider yourselves informed. So, now that her previous public bragging and the record of their long-distance romance has become public, and the consequences for fraud are looming, Pinho is suddenly denying that she fraudulently married Abu Amra in order to illegitimately obtain U.S. citizenship for him. She is now insisting that she is, quote, wildly in love with her new husband. But what else can she say? Any other response validates the crime that she openly bragged about. When asked why that was not her story during the CODEPINK webinar, she claimed that she avoided discussing her personal feelings about her own husband as though they would be a secret, because her former domestic partner, who is the father of her 2 children, Derek Reed, who, by the way, still lives in the same house as she does, just in different bedrooms, was within earshot of her comments, and that would be disrespectful. I mean, the fact that he's within earshot of her bedroom apparently is not. So to be clear, we are actually supposed to believe that the possibility that he might hear her say the words that she loves the man that she is sleeping with under his roof, when apparently he can hear them passionately making love, if we're to believe her whole honeymoon claims, that was a line that she was unwilling to cross, and that's supposed to be the reason for her story suddenly changing from marrying a Palestinian man on the other side of the world for political reasons and to level the playing field, to now claiming that she married him because she's deeply in love with him. To top that sad claim off, the fact is that Mr. Reed told the New York Post that his ex, the one that he still lives with, has been getting more and more extreme when it comes to political beliefs. The more and more that she has participated in her anti-Israel activism. Big surprise. I am shocked. Shocked. We never see extremism coming from that quarter. Telling the Post, she's been radicalized. I don't know anything about that. The crowd she runs with, I'm worried for her. You probably should be, dude. So, for now, even with her very weak explanation that she is passionately in love with her new husband and nearly refrained from framing her marriage that way in order to spare her previous partner's feelings, the facts so far are these. She publicly described using the privileges of her citizenship to equalize the playing field for people in groups that align with her far-left, extremist political causes. The immigration attorney and former federal prosecutor, Michael Wilds, told the Post that publicly acknowledging that a marriage had been entered into for any kind of purposes related to immigration, like equalizing the playing field, is something that has very real consequences, saying she can be prosecuted criminally, brought up on federal conspiracy charges. Marriage fraud is one of the top 5 crimes you can perpetrate. The fact that somebody would be foolish enough to say they actually did it makes it actionable for the federal government to investigate. Either way, Laura Pinho has no business whatsoever being an educator who is entrusted with children. She has proved that she is completely incapable of leaving her politics at the door. And she openly believes in indoctrination. As further proof of that, she went out of her way to sponsor the Students for Justice in Palestine chapter at Canoga Park Senior High School. And she has publicly spoken about incorporating Palestinian political messaging, otherwise known as propaganda, into the curriculum that is taught in her classroom full of children. And after indoctrinating children instead of educating them, which is what she is paid to do, she has also encouraged them to become clones of her by pushing them to participate in anti-Israel protests and demonstrations, pressure which no child should face from a teacher. No child out there should be pressured by a teacher to get involved in politics as a child. Have some freaking humanity. For further proof of just how unhinged Laura Pinho is, one merely has to look at her social media accounts, which is usually the case. Online, she has posted that Israel was created by, and I quote, satanic bankers. And she has posted an endorsement of Candace Owens's claim that America is controlled by, quote, satanic pedophiles who work for Israel. They really have to make a pill for this. In the meantime, it is past time to clean house, especially in schools, to fire all of the activists, hire actual teachers who will get the reading and math scores up to even semi-respectable levels. And it's time to make the harshest examples that the law will allow out of people who are radicalized enough to try to harm this country through weaponizing themselves against their fellow citizens in criminal ways. And then we need to have a serious discussion about severely limiting the immigration of people who openly say that they hate America and who openly oppose the very values on which we were founded, instead of taking in more of the immigrants from South and Central America who came here legally and had nothing but good things to say about this country, especially on the 4th of July, and good things to say about the people who died to create it. or the Europeans who are visiting right now and begging to be allowed to stay because they love this country instead of hating it. Let me be entirely clear. I don't care 1 ounce about your color, but I do care about whether you want to make this country better or worse. Whether you love this country or hate it. Whether you intend to contribute to it or whether you intend to take from it. Whether you intend to assimilate into it as a part of the melting pot, or whether you intend to try to force us to change our culture and our national identity to suit you, the newcomer, instead of just staying in the place that you just left. I care about whether you are grateful or entitled. I care about whether you are friendly or aggressive. And those are entirely appropriate standards to have for immigrants. In fact, not having them is the position that is actually insane and unacceptable. And to the people that hold that position, I would say, just because you hate yourself and you hate your own country and you want to commit symbolic suicide with very real consequences, and even that's not good enough. You want to commit cultural murder-suicide and take us all with you? Just because that's what you want, that does not mean that we have to kowtow to those dark desires among a very dark fringe element of our society. When it comes to those people, not all people that you disagree with, but those people, do not compromise with them an inch. Don't give them any attention to perpetuate this with. And when they commit crimes like this woman apparently has, make as harsh of an example out of them as the law will allow. It is that simple. That is the right thing to do, and that is how you stop us from becoming Europe.